So what if it's all about language? The word, the Buddha, is the word for the experience of the essence that we call Buddhanature, which means the mental state without any kind of attachments, pure consciousness, pure mind, natural mind, original nature, the human mind without any attachment or pollution from mental activity. That's Buddhanature. I mean, that's space itself, space without the influence of perception. That is Buddhanature. It is just a word, and all religions use words in order to define what is important. And it's a little bit funny to think about all the spiritual practices, because all the gurus, which are tremendously important, because the human being hasn't found himself or herself. I mean, the human being hasn't found its original true nature, so to speak, in many ways. At least not many have done that, because there are too many words to confuse us, and there is also no tradition in our culture to reflect on these matters. It is not a part of culture to find our true self and to find the nature inside the human being. So, but in this practice we have language to help us. But language is also an obstacle. If you really want to succeed in finding the truth that you're after, it may be a good idea to remove language altogether. Because language is a medium that represents an endless amount of language games. And every language game is just an idea. So, if we can remove language, then we would be better off, perhaps, because when it comes to this, because our real inner experience, what is it that who am I? What is it that I am? I am a nature inside myself. I am the content of my consciousness. To say exactly what is the true self, what is the false self, what is the personality self, what is the identity self, is, of course, to a certain degree possible, because you can say that the personality self, the identity self, the person within us, the thing that we identify us with, and we say that this is me, this is I, this is who I am, that is a product of language. And language is the factory of conceptions. It is language that produces the concepts that we attach to and that we believe in as representations of who we are. My point is that if we remove language, we will experience nature. If we live inside language, then we live inside cognitive activity, and cognitive activity is culture in this sense. Cognitive activity means thinking, and thinking means language, and language means language games, and words that are supposed to explain the different states that we experience. So I think that the best thing to do, if you really want to know who you are or what you are, because who you are is misleading. I think that you should forget about who you are. You should think about what you are. What is it that the human being is? Then we're on the right track. Well, we're a body that contains a brain, and the brain produces the consciousness that constitutes the mind, and with the mind and with the perception that we have in our mind apparatus, we experience and perceive the things that we call ourselves, or the self, or the heart, or the soul, or whatever. But it is a result of language, and it is a result of perception. It is the human program of cognitive activity, it is the human program of cognition that decides what we believe, because it produces the thing that we believe. So it's a very good idea to not take language and ideas and concepts too seriously when it comes to introspection, when it comes to inner experience, when it comes to experiencing the inner reality, when it comes to experiencing the inner reality or the reality of the human being. Because when we get lost in ideas, we get lost in language. When we get lost in language, we get lost in ideas. So it's like a spinning wheel. It never ends. So in order to get clarity and peace and silence, stability and original nature, so to speak, authentic, empty, clear Buddha nature, we have to remove language. We have to get out from the cognitive activity and just experience what we are as we are in the present moment, because that's all we have. Experience what we are in the present moment. And then we see that all the language games, all the conceptions, all the concepts of who we are will slowly fall away like sand from our skin, and we will be left with consciousness and with the elements that we ourselves produce within our consciousness because of the mind and perception. So this is just a little reflection on the dangers of language and the beneficial aspects of language. Be careful with language, but use it for your own good.